Every classic horror villain needs a rival. You see, first there was Freddy versus Jason, then it was Alien versus Predator, and now we have Mouse versus Pooh. But if one of your childhood heroes suddenly came to life and started hunting down you and your friends for sport, what would you do? This mouse is about to turn an entire arcade into his own personal arena of death. And there's nothing goofy about it. We're here to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the evil Mickey in The Mousetrap. Mickey's coming to the birthday party, and he's planning on cutting more than just the cake. It's Friday the 13th, and two detectives are interviewing this goth girl, Rebecca, about her part in one of the strangest cases of their entire careers. A bunch of her friends are dead with no explanation, and they're trying to figure out why. But the girl replies that how it happened is much more interesting. According to her, it's the kind of story that you can never forget, and she warns them that once they know the truth, then they'll all be as good as dead. Still, the officers won't let her go without hearing her side of the story. But if she's going to explain it properly, then she's going to have to start from the beginning. One night earlier, her friends Alex and Jaina are working late at the Fun Haven indoor amusement park. While Jaina's goofing around on her phone, Alex here is busy taking care of a kid with a boo-boo on his arm. He randomly asks her if she's in a relationship, but when she jokingly responds by asking if he wants to be her boyfriend, he starts absolutely roasting her instead, saying that she should date somebody her own age. Embarrassed, she goes back over to the counter to talk with Jaina, but that's when their manager Tim shows up with some bad news. Someone rented the place out for a few hours after closing tonight, and he needs the two of them to stay and help get everything set up. Although they're not excited about it at first, after hearing that they'll be getting paid double time, the girls reluctantly agree to stay until the party's over. But that was their biggest mistake. While his employees are hard at work, Tim here decides to kick back with a stiff drink and some old-timey cartoons in his private theater. Taking a seat, he loads a copy of Steamboat Willie onto his projector, but that's when everything changes. As the cartoon plays, he's startled by a strange cackling that seems like it's coming from somewhere in the room. Confused, he yells out thinking that it's one of the workers, but starts to get worried when no one responds. Standing up, he accidentally spills some of his drink onto the frayed wire, causing it to spark, and behind him, the character mysteriously disappears off of the screen. All of a sudden, the plastic mask in his display case begins to speak to him in a demonic voice, daring the man to put it on, and he walks over towards it like he's under some kind of mind control, having no idea that he's about to go on an absolute rampage. Okay, it looks like Tim here just had his very own Green Goblin moment. But I don't think that Tobey Maguire is about to show up and save the day. When it comes to what just happened here, we've got a lot of evidence to show that it was more than just your average mental breakdown. You might want to be like Jamie Foxx and blame it on the alcohol, baby, but no. I think it's pretty obvious that this guy was just possessed by some kind of demonic Mickey Mouse spirit. But like Rebecca said before, it's how it happened that we need to focus on. The paranormal activity started as soon as Tim put on the tape, which makes it seem like the tape itself could be cursed. When he spilled his drink, the electrical disturbance must have created some sort of gateway between dimensions, allowing evil Mickey to cross over into our world and inhabit the mask. Now that Tim here is giving in to the entity's suggestions, it's going to be able to influence his actions and force him to go on a killing spree. But since we all know how it started, we can use this information to figure out how to defeat it. Fighting off evil Mickey here is going to be very similar to battling a demon like you'd see in The Exorcist, but with a few added twists. This time, we have the mask and the tape as objects to focus on, plus the evidence of the electrical surge, and a physical guy who the evil spirit is attached to, giving us a lot of options for how we can fight back. Since the spirit first entered our world through the power surge, it's possible that recreating a similar event could open up the door to send it back. On top of that, hitting Tim with a powerful jolt of electricity might disrupt the spirit in a way that weakens it, giving us the chance for a counterattack. Then we have the tape and the mask. They're both obviously connected to the spirit's presence here in some way, so it's very likely that destroying them could cancel out its connections to our physical world. If the objects are somehow impossible to destroy, then putting them inside of a Faraday cage could stop them from sending or receiving any electrical signals while we try to come up with another plan. Of course, knowing that it's connected to Tim here means that just beating the crap out of him is still a viable option, unless Evil Mickey gives him some kind of supernatural powers. But when you realize the kind of idiots that he's up against, you'll probably understand why so many people are about to end up dead. Alright everyone, before we snap this mousetrap, I want to talk to you about something that's essential for any horror creator: building an online presence. This is where Squarespace comes in. Squarespace is an all-in-one website platform that allows you to easily create a beautiful and professional website, even if you're a complete tech newbie. This is huge for us horror YouTubers because a polished website can lend your website some killer credibility. Here's why I love Squarespace. First, there are these amazing built-in SEO tools, which stands for search engine optimization. Basically what that means is that it helps people find your website when they're searching online for your content. The last thing you want is for your blood, sweat, and tears to go unseen, especially if you're like me and blood, sweat, and tears are your whole thing. With Squarespace, you can optimize your site so that it shows up higher in the search results. Squarespace also makes it super easy to sell merch. I mean, let's face it, horror fans love their creepy t-shirts. So, with Squarespace, you can design your own custom merch and create a whole new revenue stream. They handle all the production, inventory, and shipping, so you can focus on creating killer content. Plus, Squarespace just looks fantastic. There are tons of modern and intuitive design options to choose from, so you can create a website that perfectly reflects your unique horror vibe. Here are some shots from my new Squarespace site. If you're new to Squarespace, don't worry. They have a whole library of tutorial videos and articles to help you get started. And guess what? As a special bonus for being a fan of my channel, you can get a free 1-year trial of Squarespace. If you're interested in learning more about Squarespace, head on over to squarespace.com/howtobeat for a free trial. And when you're ready to take the plunge, use my special code HOWTOBEAT to save 10% off your first website or domain purchase. Now, enough about website building, let's get back to the chills and thrills. After closing up, Jaina here is still goofing off, while Alex is working hard to get things cleaned up before the party. While they're taking a break, she notices that Jaina is acting extra friendly, and correctly guesses that it's because she wants something. The girl confesses that she wants to sneak out for a while to meet up with a guy, but promises that she'll be back in time to help clean up the place. Realizing that there's no way to talk her out of it, Alex reluctantly caves to the peer pressure, feeling confident that her friend is most likely never coming back. In the meantime, Alex goes around messing with a bunch of the arcade games until her fun is rudely interrupted by a mysterious phone call. Thinking that it's probably the customers, she runs over to answer the call, but when she picks it up, the person on the other end never responds. Confused, the detectives ask Rebecca how she could possibly know all of these details if she wasn't even there yet, but she explains that she's only repeating what Alex told her. There's just one problem. The police pulled all of the phone records from the arcade that night, and there's nothing to show that the call ever really happened. Rebecca can't explain it, and it seems like asking Alex isn't an option, so their only choice is to let her keep going on with the story. Hanging up the call, Alex goes back to getting ready for the party, never realizing that the mouse has already been watching her through the glass the entire time. Suddenly, she begins hearing the character's theme music playing from somewhere else in the building, and starts nervously searching around the place, looking for the source of the noise. She follows the whistling all the way back to the entrance, and as she comes around the corner, she notices a strange figure standing by the doors. Thinking that it might be one of her friends, Alex calls out to see who's there. But when they turn around, she realizes that it's actually a large man wearing a beat-up old Mickey Mouse mask. Terrified, Alex takes off running back into the arcade. But it looks like this nightmare is just getting started. Sprinting through the dining room, the girl is shocked when she almost crashes right into a group of her friends. It turns out that the party was really a surprise for her birthday that's coming up soon, and her awkward friend Marcus here secretly planned the whole thing. They've been friends since they were kids, and always had their birthdays there growing up, which is why he thought it would be a good place to pick. Giving him a hug, Alex thanks him for inviting everyone, except for this hockey player Ryan, who he says kind of just invited himself. Once they all grab a drink, they bring out Alex's cake and watch her blow out the candles, with absolutely no clue that the mouse is already watching them from the shadows, patiently waiting for his chance to strike. Okay, hold the up. Are you joking with me right now? No, seriously, I think I might need to check myself into a mental institution, because I must be losing my mind. You're telling me that Alex here is about to just move on with her life without saying so much as a single word about what she just saw? That's not Mickey Mouse, that's Mickey Myers, you idiot. We have an Avengers level threat going on back there, and you're busy blowing out the candles to make your birthday wish, when what you should be wishing for is a SWAT team to rappel in through the windows and save your lives from this obvious madman. Maybe she thinks that it's just a prank, bro, but no, not even once. We've got a mysterious phone call with nobody on the other end, the strange feeling like you're always being watched, and she literally just saw the guy chaining the door shut, forcing her to run for her life as he walked after her. But Alex still hasn't figured out that she's in a slasher movie yet? Not only that, but she completely dropped it the instant she saw her friends, like she had her brain surgically removed and replaced with the mind of a goldfish. This has to be one of the most unspeakably dumb things I've ever seen somebody do. Alright, take a deep breath. Let's all just cool off for a second. You've probably figured out by now that I don't think staying calm was the appropriate reaction here. If you ever see some shit like that, the first thing that you need to do is immediately tell everyone that there is a masked killer in the building. Then, at the same time as I'm calling the police, I'm going to use my friends here as birthday meat shields as I sprint for the nearest exit, which happens to be right there. There's no way to be sure how long he's been there or how many doors he's already gotten to, but there's still a chance that we can find one he overlooked and use it to escape to freedom. Even if they're all locked, there are still plenty of ways to get out of the building as long as you're creative. Besides just calling the police, I'd also have someone try to call Jaina, since she might be able to get there sooner and open up a door to let us out. Taking action now is going to give them the best chances of survival, because the longer that they wait, the more time that he'll have to set up. And once he starts picking off people one by one, you'll quickly run out of meat shields to keep you safe. I wouldn't waste 1 second before I was trying to find a way out of this building. But Alex here seems happy to just pretend like it never happened, and that's going to come back to haunt them soon enough. It might be Alex's party, but it seems like everyone in the group has a different idea about how they should start things off. Ryan here already wants to start playing drinking games, but her other friends start arguing back that they should let Alex decide. Sensing a fight coming, she leads them all over to the basketball machines, but they don't even realize that Mickey is about to crash the party. After a few drinks, her friend Danny is starting to get annoyed with Ryan's overly competitive attitude. While they're talking it over, Paul here gets a voice message from their friend Jackie telling him to meet her in the jungle gym for some alone time. He's too much of a gentleman to turn her down, so he immediately takes off to follow her, leaving Marcus and the others behind. As soon as he's gone, Marcus cracks a joke about how they'd be the first ones to die if this was a horror movie, but the girls don't think that it's very funny, saying that he sounds like a serial killer, even though he's really just trying to fit in. Paul follows Jackie into the jungle gym, where he spots her waiting for him on one of the higher levels. They immediately start taking their clothes off, thinking that they're all alone, but they're so distracted that they don't even notice the mouse watching them from just a few feet away. While they're playing some more basketball, Alex has to tell her friends to stop taking pictures so that her boss won't find out that she was partying while on the clock. Meanwhile, Ryan steps away to take a phone call, and he's planning a little surprise of his own. His buddies from the hockey team are hanging out at a bar nearby, and their plan is to trick Marcus into going over there so that they can beat him up for trying to impress Alex. Since Ryan here thinks that he's already claimed her as his girl, it turns out that Tim, the owner, used to be on the team, but these days he's doing a different kind of slashing. Coming back over to the rest of the group, Ryan finds out about the no pictures rule and decides that it would be fun for everyone to put their phones inside of a bag for the rest of the night. The only one who hesitates is Marcus, but after getting peer pressured into it, he finally agrees to play along, even though Alex would have backed him up either way. That's when Alex realizes that she hasn't seen Paul or Jackie in a while, but the others tell her that they're busy having their own idea of a good time. As the group starts to split up again, the girls notice that Rebecca here doesn't seem like she's having any fun. Asking her why, they realize that she secretly has feelings for Alex too, adding yet another person to the love pentagon. They decide to get some more drinks, but as for Rebecca, the good news is that Mickey is about to start thinning out the competition. Up in the jungle gym, Jackie asks Paul if he brought any protection, but there's nothing that could save them from what's about to happen next. As they start making out, they hear a strange noise coming from somewhere in the shadows, and that's when Mickey steps out from around the corner, revealing that he's been watching them the whole time. Terrified, Jackie screams at the top of her lungs, but by now, it's already too late. And there's nothing that they can do as the mouse charges towards them, making 2 victims down with 12 more to go. Okay, well, it looks like Marcus was right, but I think that we all knew that already. As soon as these 2 left to go hook up, their friends might as well have started planning their funerals, because there was absolutely no way that they were coming back alive. It doesn't help that these morons here seem like they have the worst survival skills of anyone who ever lived. I mean, how the hell did it take them this long to notice the guy dressed like Mickey Mouse menacingly watching them from about 5 feet away? And he wasn't even using a weapon, just running at them like he wanted to give them a hug. He gets a knife later, but we can all see that he definitely wasn't using one here. So instead of just sitting there and screaming like a couple of defenseless babies, why not actually try and do something about it? Now, there's 2 approaches that you might want to take in this situation. One plan could be to try and use their numbers advantage to fight back 2-on-1, but the truth is that we have no idea what a guy like this is really capable of. The way that I see it, the best approach here is to immediately start running for your life and push the other person into his path if you need to buy some time while you get away. During the chase, we can use the complicated structure of the jungle gym to help us escape by using the obstacles to our advantage. Finding a way down would seem like the obvious choice, but if you have to go up, then that isn't necessarily a bad thing either. Gaining the high ground will make it harder for him to get to you if you can kick down at his face. And the upper layers of jungle gyms are usually where you'll find a side that you can use to make a quick exit. While this is going on, I'd also start screaming for help as loud as I could and use my phone to call the police, or as a way to warn the others. Everyone else put their phones in the bag, but Paul and Jackie here were already away from the group when that happened, meaning that it's still a viable option. If he catches up, then you'll need to give yourself any advantage that you can. And they may not have a lot of potential weapons lying around, but a pair of shoes or even your belt could be used to fight back in a pinch. However they manage to get away, my next priority after surviving this would be to find the others and get the hell out of this place, or find a safe spot where we can take cover until help arrives. Meanwhile, everyone else is too caught up in a heated game of air hockey to even notice what's going on with their 2 perverted friends. At the snack bar, one of the girls notices that the knife from the cake is missing, but nobody else seems to know what happened to it. Ryan here is starting to feel a little tipsy, and comes after Marcus looking for a fight again. But Alex jumps in before there's any trouble, saying that they should move on to a real bar instead. The others all like the idea, but there's just one tiny little problem. When they get to the front door, they realize that it's already been chained shut. This isn't how the owner would normally lock up, so Alex says that there must be another explanation. At the same time, Rebecca discovers that the bag with all of their phones in it is empty, and they figure out that it must be Paul and Jackie playing some kind of prank. Marcus suggests trying to get out through the back entrance, and that's when Alex over here finally remembers to mention the guy in the mask, thinking that it was probably Paul all along. When they get there, they discover that the back door is also still chained shut, meaning that they're trapped unless they can get the keys. Turning it into a game, Alex says that whoever finds them first gets free drinks for the rest of the night, and that's enough motivation to get Ryan searching right away. Danny remembers watching the two of them go into the jungle gym, so they decide to start checking there, but nothing could ever prepare them for what they're about to find. Instead of going with them, Marcus stops Alex for a chance to talk alone. He mentions how Ryan clearly likes her, but she admits that she's not really into him, and that's when he reveals that he's been hiding a secret birthday present in the dining room. While they're busy, everyone else splits up to search different areas of the building, trying to find Paul and Jackie so that they can get out of there. Ryan heads to the jungle gym first, and when he arrives at the scene of the crime, he's shocked to find the mouse still standing there in the darkness, thinking that it must be Paul. He laughs it off and goes to give him a high five, but the mouse only stares right back without saying a word. Somewhere else in the building, Rebecca here is searching through the laser tag arena, getting more and more frustrated that her friends are still playing games. Turning around, she suddenly comes face to face with the man in the mask, but she's still convinced that it's a joke right up until Mickey here pulls out a blood-covered knife. The girl tries to back away, but somehow the killer disappears into thin air, only to reappear right again in front of her, barely missing her face as he takes a swing. Falling down, she accidentally activates the strobe setting on her flashlight, and that's when something strange happens. Something about the flashing light causes the mouse to stumble back in pain, and he turns to run out of the area, leaving Rebecca alive for now. Okay, that was a really close call for our girl Rebecca here, and we just learned something extremely important. But before we get into that, I want to just take one more second to really appreciate how completely oblivious they are to the fact that they're in serious danger. Let's see, we've got the knife from the cake missing, boom. Both of the doors are chained shut, boom. And Alex even told them that she saw a guy in a mask doing it. Now, all of a sudden, people from their group are mysteriously going missing, to the point where the entire party is just dropping like flies, and they're still acting like there's absolutely nothing to worry about. I mean, it's genuinely unbelievable, and I'm starting to think that maybe they had this coming after all. At least Rebecca knows what's happening, and can warn the rest of the group before it's too late. Even still, getting out of this alive isn't going to be easy, since this guy can apparently teleport around the room like Nightcrawler, but she actually just figured out a weakness that the others aren't going to notice until much later on. Think about it this way, if Mickey here can teleport, then why did he have to physically run away when the light was on him? It must be because the strobe light somehow reduces his power, and knowing this gives us a huge tactical advantage for the next encounter. To start, Rebecca needs to get back to the others. That way, they can start working on an escape plan. And she'll have plenty of backup if the killer comes after them again. The first thing that they should do is get their hands on as many flashlights as possible, since they'll be able to use the strobe feature to protect them from the mouse's teleportation trick, and stop him from cutting them off every time they try to run away. I'd also grab some extra batteries just in case, and they should be able to find all of that somewhere in the back office. The doors are chained and padlocked shut, but that's not really a problem anymore, because at this point, we're just gonna break the glass. We can worry about explaining the damage to the boss another time. But right now, we have to do whatever's necessary for our own survival. The easiest way out of this situation is to find a fire extinguisher or hammer to break the glass with, and then just run out of there until you can get somewhere safe, using the strobe against Mickey if he tries to interfere. Now, if for some reason they can't get out, they can still pick a defensible spot in the building and create a safe zone where they can all wait for help to eventually arrive. I'd head for the manager's office, where they can watch the security cameras. That way, they'll always know what's happening around the building. They should make weapons out of anything that they can find, and if he teleports into their safe zone, just hit him with the strobe lights and whoop his ass as a team. They have him beat in terms of numbers, and now they have a secret weapon that they can use against him, but I'm sure they'll still find a way to f this up. Even though they're supposed to be searching for their friends, the others can't help but get distracted by all of the random stuff that's around the arcade. Danny here ends up taking a nap on the roller coaster, but now it's Marie's turn to take a trip through the jungle gym of death. Turning the corner, she spots the mouse standing with his back to her up ahead, and yells at him, thinking that it's only Ryan joking around. Suddenly, the man turns around to show that he has a knife, launching her friend's blood onto her face from the other end of the tunnel. The killer rushes towards her, taking wild swings at the air, but she's able to get away by ducking through a narrow passage and escaping down the slide. Meanwhile, Marcus tells Alex to close her eyes and leads her over to the dining room where he's set up a surprise gift. Taking her seat, she realizes that it's a box of sour candy from every country around the world. And Marcus here remembered that it's her favorite snack from back when they were kids. He's finally starting to win her over, and Alex even tells him to ask her out. But before he can say anything, they're rudely interrupted when Marie comes running into the room with some terrifying news. While she's standing there covered in somebody else's blood, she very calmly explains that Ryan has gone full-blown Jason Voorhees. Thinking quickly, Alex decides that the best thing to do in a situation like this is to split up, heading to the office to turn on the security lights while the other two sit there and do absolutely nothing. Marie proves that she's really the brains of the operation by saying that they might want to call the police. Marcus realizes that they could use the landline instead. Alex makes it to the back office without any trouble, but once she's there, she notices something strange. The computer is only showing the old Steamboat Willie cartoon, and when she tries to pick up the phone, she hears the killer taunting her on the other end. In a demonic voice, he tells the girl that he wants to play a game of hide-and-seek with her friends, but warns them that getting caught could be deadly. While all of this is going down, Ryan's hockey bros are still waiting for them to show up at the bar, but that's when they hear the front door swing open. Turning around, they see that it's the guy in the mask, and they figure that this must be Marcus. The boys immediately surround him, but their leader gives the guy a chance to get out of it the easy way, warning him to stay away from Ryan's girl or else. The mouse only shakes his head no, and it's clear that their intimidation attempt is not working. Before they can even react, the mouse grabs a hockey stick and takes 3 of them down in the blink of an eye, leaving only the leader still on his feet. Horrified, he starts to beg for mercy, but this mouse didn't come to take prisoners. And he effortlessly breaks the guy's neck with a single swing, making 6 victims down with 8 more to go. Okay, somebody needs to put Mickey here in the penalty box already, but I guess it won't be any of these clowns. We just learned something new about the killer. Not only can he teleport, but he's also strong enough to win a 4-on-1 without breaking a sweat. So, if we're going to survive, then we need to figure out a way to overcome his supernatural abilities. We know that the strobe lights work to stun him, but what about if we wanted a plan to take him down for good? The first step is to get him into an area of the arcade that they can close off, like a party room or an office where they can lock the door. You know, this won't hold him for very long, but if he can teleport, that's why we're going to use the strobe lights to keep him contained. They need to stun Mickey first using the strobes, and then work together to overwhelm him using their superior numbers and any improvised weapons that they can find, with the ultimate goal being to just remove the mask. Just getting it off his head might be enough to snap Tim out of it, but I would suggest burning both the mask and the tape in a nice big fire once we get our hands on them, just to be safe. The others regroup back at the snack counter, but neither side has had any luck. Alex's trip to the office was a bust, and Marcus says that the phone lines are all down around the store. Grabbing flashlights, they decide to try for the emergency exit again, but they're forgetting that the 2 of their friends are still missing somewhere in the arcade. The mouse didn't forget though, and he just found Danny passed out in the front seat of the roller coaster. Strapping him in, he fires up the ride before this idiot even knows what's going on, and by the time that he wakes up, there's no way for him to escape. Terrified, Danny starts to have a panic attack as the ride spins around the track over and over again, shouting for someone to turn it off while the mouse only stands there laughing in his face. After having his fun, the ride finally comes to a stop, but as Danny stumbles out of his seat, he sees the mouse coming towards him with the knife, forcing him to run away to another part of the arcade. When Alex and her crew make it to the exit, they're horrified to find Paul and Jackie's bodies stacked against the door with a sign that says, "This game isn't for couples." The door is also still chained shut, which they already knew, meaning that they've just hit yet another dead end. But that's when Alex finally realizes that they can break the front glass to escape. And this time, they decide to stick together while they search the place for some tools. As for their friend Gemma, she's been playing a VR game this whole time, and still has absolutely no idea what's going on. She's so caught up in the game that she never notices the mouse appearing right behind her. And when he taps her on the shoulder, she quickly puts the headset right back on, thinking that it was just part of the experience. He comes back to get a little more creepy with it as soon as she can't see him, but this time she's convinced that it must be her friends playing a prank. After repeating the same process yet again, it looks like the mouse is finally going to kill her, but he eventually decides to let the girl live for now. At the police station, the detectives stop the story to ask Rebecca how she knows so much about the things that happened when she wasn't in the room. She replies that she saw it all on the security footage, but that's the problem. The officers can't get any proof because the cameras have all been wiped. Back at the arcade, Alex and the others run for the front exit, only to see that the mouse has them already cut off. While he's tapping on the glass with his knife, just to taunt them, Marcus realizes that they can use the fire alarm to call for help without needing their phones. Then, the three of them can get to the roof, barricade the entrance, and wait for help to arrive. But Alex has to head to the office again to activate the alarm, and she leaves Marcus and Marie here at the counter, in case they have a chance to regroup with the others. The minute that Alex trips the alarm, Marcus announces the plan over the intercom, signaling for anyone who's still alive to meet them up on the roof. But now, the mouse knows exactly where to find them. Somehow Gemma here manages to find Alex in the back office, but she still has no idea that they're all in danger. Alex quickly signals for the girl to stay quiet, but before she can get to safety, the mouse suddenly appears behind her and brutally slashes her throat, making 7 victims down, with 7 more to go. He starts to come after Alex next, but she luckily drops her flashlight, activating the strobe setting and causing the freak to disappear for now. Okay, this one just might be one of the most embarrassing deaths that I've ever seen. If ignoring red flags was an Olympic sport, then Gemma here would still be alive, because she would have been competing in Paris instead of getting killed by a public domain cartoon character at a glorified Chuck E. Cheese. There's being oblivious, and then there's these morons. But you've really got to do something special to make yourself stand out as the biggest dumbass of them all. And I've got bad news for you, Gemma. You f***ed up. So let's get this straight. You found out that there was a mysterious individual lurking around the building, chaining the doors shut to lock you inside, and stealing everyone's phones? Your friends are all freaking out, trying to figure out who did this, only for them to start disappearing at a rate that's much faster than normal. And your exact reaction was really to say, you know what, I think that now would be a good time for an immersive VR experience. That's genuinely insane. You know what really sucked? It was like 45 minutes before any of your friends even remembered that you weren't there. They saw 2 dead bodies and tried to escape twice before they even thought about at least giving you a heads up. And it still took you finding them before the girl whose birthday you were here to celebrate acted like she even remotely gave a shit if you lived or died. Honestly though, with your survival skills, I can't say I blame them. They probably thought you were dead already. Now, I don't know how advanced the technology at this Canadian Dave & Buster's is supposed to be, but I've never heard of a VR game that can tap you on the damn shoulder. Ignoring it once is one thing, but after Mickey here started trying to whisper in your ear like the Yin Yang Twins, that was probably the moment to realize that you might be in danger. But even putting the Mickey stuff to the side for a moment, you heard a fire alarm and your gut instinct was to randomly walk to the back office? Honestly, I'm surprised that you even made it through life for this long. For somebody with the survival skills of a three-toed sloth, I guess you actually did pretty well for yourself, but it looks like that your lucky streak just ran out because Gemma, you f***ed up. During the chaos, Danny escapes into the laser tag arena where he finds Rebecca still hiding out from the killer. After hearing the announcement, they decide that they'd better head for the roof, but the mouse is still in the maze with them. Using the cameras, Marcus tries to warn them where the killer is coming from, but he moves too fast for his advice to work. As they're running for their lives, Rebecca accidentally trips, giving the mouse time to catch up. Reaching down, he slices the girl's Achilles tendon so that she can't run away before turning his attention back to Danny. Rebecca tells him to keep running, but Danny decides that it's time to fight back, but the mouse takes him down with one punch straight to the kidneys, before forcing Danny to his knees and stabbing him through the head right in front of her, making 8 victims down with 6 more to go. Alex rushes back to the others, frantically explaining what happened to Gemma and how she saw the mouse disappear into thin air. After how crazy things have been already, her friends aren't as surprised to hear this as you might think, but they still need to figure out how they're going to survive. They're about to head for the roof when all of a sudden, Jaina here shows up right outside the front door. Realizing that she's about to die, Alex starts slamming on the windows, shouting at the girl to call 911. But the minute that she approaches the door, the killer rushes up from behind and stabs her in the chest, making 9 victims down, with 5 more to go. Tapping on the glass, he starts mocking Alex for crying, refusing to kill her off until he's done playing his game. When she gets back to the others, she discovers that they found Ryan, and they're interrogating him to find out what he knows. Realizing that he had no idea what's happening, Alex explains the situation, thinking that it might be one of his hockey buddies that took the prank way too far. The girls back him up, pointing out that he's too dumb to be the mastermind behind the attacks. And they get their proof when the mouse suddenly appears on the other side of the room. Feeling brave, Ryan approaches to try and reason with the guy, but ends up taking a wrench straight to the face. Before he can finish the job, Alex hits the creep with the strobe on her flashlight, drawing his attention back to them. This time, the killer smacks the light right out of her hands, but Marcus comes in with a baseball bat and cranks him in the back of the head, stunning him long enough for the others to hold him down. Ryan tries trapping him underneath a chair, but he's able to escape after knocking the light away from Marie, disappearing without a trace before their very eyes. After regrouping, Marcus points out that the strobe light seems to take away his powers of teleportation, meaning that they might be able to kill him if they can somehow trap him in his physical form. Okay, they're getting ready for the final showdown, but the plan could easily backfire if something goes wrong. Right now, they should be trying to avoid confrontation instead, and since Alex was able to activate the fire alarm, it shouldn't be much longer before help finally arrives. They just have to survive long enough for it to get there. Going on the defensive and using the strobe to counter his abilities is one way to do it, but leaving the building is still their most viable option. They have everything they need to escape, and yet they still haven't tried breaking through one of the doors or a window to get away. If they've decided that violence really is the only answer, then they've already missed their opportunity to kill him when they had him the first time. And it was probably the best chance that they're ever going to get. I mean, did they seriously let the light get knocked out of their hands not once, but twice? These morons seriously need to learn how to use that little strap thing before they keep falling for the same trick. At least they know now that they can physically hurt him. But with how dangerous he is, why even bother? They should really be focused on escaping first, but instead, they're deliberately going into a battle against this guy who can teleport around and God knows what else. As for their strategy here, the only way this plan works is to do what we mentioned before. They need to stun Mickey with the strobe lights, and then as soon as they have him down, immediately pull the mask off of his head and throw that into the fires of Mount Doom before it can possess somebody else. They might think that they've got a solid plan, but they're about to find out that Mickey here still has a few mystery mousecatools up his sleeve. Taking the flashlight, Alex shouts that she wants to change the rules of the game. Yelling that she'll be in the jungle gym, she challenges the mouse to come and find her, saying that she'll surrender if he can catch her. But if not, then he has to let all of her friends go free. The mouse agrees, thinking that there's no way that they could possibly outsmart him. And now it's time for Alex and her friends to spring their trap. A few minutes later, the mouse confidently storms into the jungle gym, where he finds Alex already waiting for him on the upper levels. She hits him with the strobe as soon as he's within range, and he starts throwing his weapons up at Alex and her friends. Hitting a button, the team activates flashing lights all throughout the area, causing the mouse to start to panic. While he's distracted, the two boys rush in to hold him down, and Alex approaches, thinking that they finally have the upper hand. Instead, the mouse only laughs now that she's within reach, and the lights suddenly turn from strobing into blood red. All of a sudden, the mouse disappears, only to reappear right behind Alex and slice her head clean off with a motherfucking sword, just as the fire trucks are finally arriving outside. With his ultimate kill complete, the mouse disappears once again, making 10 victims down with 4 survivors, and leaving her friends completely traumatized by what they've just witnessed. At the police station, the door to Rebecca's cell suddenly opens as a demonic voice tells her that they're just getting started. And if there's one thing that we can learn from what happened here, it's that they should really have had this party at Freddy Fazbear's instead. The Mousetrap. Damn it, man. I mean, what's next? The Betty Boop Massacre? Huh? Actually, I would watch the Betty Boop Massacre. But yeah, Winnie the Pooh, the Mousetrap. What's up with these characters? You guys have to let me know down in the comments if there's anything else that you guys would have done differently, because holy shit. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out the How to Beat playlist for more videos just like this one. I'm the Guy. I'll see you in the next video, and have a damn good day.